Hi, I'm Stephen Adams. Welcome to Optimum TV and welcome to a new series of Dealmakers where we talk to the movers and shakers in the world of life science investment. We'll be talking to investors about what they think will happen in 2026. But first off, we have Mary Clark, our own CEO of Optimum Strategic Communications. Hi, Mary.
Thank you so much, Stephen.
Not at all. Let's get going. So let's look ahead to 2026. What can you tell us about the general investment climate after what has been a year with its ups and downs? What do you think is going to happen in 2026, and what are investors telling you?
Okay, thanks, Stephen. As you say, this year has truly been a roller coaster. We started the year off with optimism, then that collapsed around March, April, only to rebound with enthusiasm in recent months. We've seen a lot of disruption from the macro policy changes, tariffs, most favored nation, drug pricing, changes at the FDA, all of which created uncertainty for pharma and investors. But, it looks like some of these macro risks are being sorted. We've seen a significant amount of M&A already, which is creating fantastic tailwind for the sector. And of course, the continued rise of Chinese innovation. The power of AI is a force for transformation across our sector, from discovery right through to delivery, and the enormous opportunity in addressing big therapeutic needs such as obesity, aging, cardiovascular. We've seen great data, and on the back of this, significant financings from the likes of Hansa and Abivax. The IPO window is open, and those IPOs that have come to market are performing well, and we expect more in 26. It is still tough, but the market environment is much more positive. And this was certainly the overwhelming sentiment from the Optimum conference, which we hosted in October, and from the recent Jefferies conference, London Life Sciences Week.
Excellent. So after a trying year, there are reasons to be cheerful then.
Definitely.
Excellent. Thinking more broadly, what do you think are the main drivers which are influencing investment?
Well, as mentioned, I think these big macro factors are being sorted. See, M&A is a huge driver for the sector. We've got an unprecedented pharma pipeline cliff, which is not going away. So the M&A activity we've seen in recent months, we believe it's just the beginning of what's to come. We're likely to see more large deals and more deals that go into earlier stage companies. As I mentioned, we've got big therapeutic areas, obesity, aging, cardiovascular, and we've seen Lilly become the sort of first $1 trillion company in the sector. China's role in the biopharma industry, developing drug development, which is faster and more cost effective, very exciting. AI, I've already mentioned, but ultimately we've got fantastic science. We've seen significant advances across GLP-1s, RNA medicines, gene therapy, rare diseases, all of which are hugely exciting for the sector and for patients. So there's no doubt VCs are ready to invest in and have dry powder. In Europe, we saw two major European funds raising significant funds in Sofinova and Medici. We've also got big investors like Forbion, Gilder, EQT, and of course Novo Holdings. So it does feel like we're seeing more and more money moving to the sector.
Excellent. Well, that's obviously great news for the sector as a whole. Thinking about individual companies which are after cash, obviously to keep going through their clinical trials, expand their teams, etc. How do they stand out? Because it's a very competitive landscape out there, even if the overall picture is improving. How do they make sure that they get in front of the people who matter and then go and convert those meetings into deals?
No, you're absolutely right. It is hugely competitive. There are thousands of companies all vying for investor and pharma attention. So, very important that you prepare well. Preparation is the key. get your story right. Make sure you're communicating not only what you do, your approach, your assets, your team, and the goals that you're trying to achieve, but you must make sure that your differentiation is clear. This is what will make you stand out. Of course, we know that data rules. This is what pharma and investors are looking for. So make sure you plan ahead for when your data is going to be announced. Really set out clearly what it means for your drug, for patients, how you sit in the global market, when and how you will disclose it, and make sure you maximize this super important milestone through all your communication channels, not only through the traditional media, but use the social media channels, and importantly, use all of your stakeholders in the business, from your board and your employees, to amplify the news. Importantly, you need to be targeting the right investors. Have a clear roadmap of who and why you are targeting them. How are you going to get to meet them? You need warm introductions. It's really difficult to go cold calling. Look at the investors, look at the kind of teams, the assets that they back, and the typical amounts. There's no point trying to raise a small amount and going to a huge investor, because they won't be able to do that. Also, look at where they are in their fund cycle. They might really like your company, but, they only have room for 1 or 2 more investments, and you don't meet the criteria. But as I say, we've seen some fantastic financings, funds raised, so there is a lot of money out there. When you're on the radar of pharma and investors, have clear metrics of how you want them to measure your progress. What's your clinical roadmap? What are the major milestones they can expect to see and follow? And of course, you need to build trust in your team, and lastly, ensure that your story is heard. As I say, it's hugely competitive.
Well, Mary, that's a lot for biotechs to get their head round and remember and execute on. And I'm sure you would be more than willing to have those biotech executives contact you and Optimum Strategic Communications to learn how they can maximize their communications and their investor relations as best they can.
Absolutely. Please get in touch if you'd like to discuss how we can help you, say, ensure that your story is heard with the right people at the right time.
Mary Clark, CEO of Optimum Strategic Communications, thanks very much for kicking off Dealmakers 2026.
Thank you, Stephen.